Tonight, your actions have not kept pace with your rhetoric. Ghana Integrity Initiative slams President Akufo-Addo over Galamsey fight as they demand an independent, bipartisan commission of inquiry into bombshell Galamsey report by former Environment Minister. Also tonight, we have the latest on this fast-moving story on the day traditional authorities in the president's hometown guarded journalists to verify claims by the former Environment Minister in a bid to clear the name of the president. We tell you why the Chibihini is demanding the presence of the former former Environment Minister.
It's very, very bad that a man who has struggled for almost 45 years to build his name, and now, as he's about to leave the presidency, they are trying to destroy him. He should come here. We will come here and he come and see the whole thing. We need Professor Frimpong himself to come.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Your actions have not kept pace with your rhetoric. A declaration tonight by the local chapter of Transparency International on President Akufo-Addo's record on fighting illegal mining. The Ghana Integrity Initiative has been demanding an independent bipartisan commission of inquiry into that bombshell Galamsey report by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong, in which he accuses top government officials of active involvement in illegal mining. Now, I will have more for you shortly on the GII demands, but first I want to take you to the president's own hometown of Chebi, where the cabinet of the Ochihene have been busy today showing journalists around in an attempt to challenge claims made by Professor Frimpong in his explosive 2021 Galamsey report. Now, presidential correspondent Elton Brobe was there for us and will join us shortly. But first, what exactly did Professor Frimpong say that has got the entire cabinet of the Ochihene busy today? Kojo Brace joins me with that. What did he say in this report?
So, Evans, to quote him, he says the impunity in the eastern region is exemplified by near unbelievable activity in Chebi. I had a telephone call from Mr. Eric Entry of the Office of the President, and he narrated that the youth organizer of the MPP in Chebi was excavating for gold in a field which is close to the house of His Excellency the President of the Republic. He says when they checked, it was true. Indeed, part of the guarding of the president had been affected. Apparently, the president did not know about this. So they quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. And I need to say that, and that's him, I'm quoting him, I need not say that nothing happened to the local youth organizer who caused the damage.
Okay, so
that's an inaction there.
So that's his claim. That's what today has sparked this busy activity in Chebi, and my colleague Elton Brobe was there for us. Elton, so what's the real purpose of this? Explain to me. Why did they tell you why they asked that you come over?
Well, so this perhaps could pass for we making a request to verify the information for ourselves. Because the person in question is the President of the Republic, and because of the security concerns with it, we made the appeal to the Director of Communication at the Jubilee House whether it will be possible for us to visit the place and to understand what really the matter is about, and then to verify the issues for ourselves. So it was whilst we were there, after we were done with our own independent check of the situation at the private residence of President Akufo-Addo at Chebi, then we got a call that the Chebi Hene or Saberema Mafo Kwabrane, wanted to see us. So we went to see him, and he said that because we had come to his town, he wanted to understand our mission, and later took us back to the the premises, spoke to us, and then took us back to some places around Chebe in a bid to tell us that no illegal mining activity is taking place. In fact, he took us to the Ochinhis Palace and other places that, for him, people have been making reference to the fact that Chebe has become centerpiece as far as illegal mining is concerned, but to make the point that nothing of the nature was actually happening.
When you arrive on the ground, you talk to a few people who claim to have lived in the president's house there for quite a while. What's your own assessment of what has been said and what the reality is right now?
So for them, they read the Professor Frimpong-Boateng's commentary on the matter with surprise, because for those who lived in the house for some 7 years, some 30-something years, nothing of a sort had taken place, according to them. So they took us around the house. So the house doesn't share a wall with any house. This is like an island. The house appears to be an island of its own. The president himself, according to them, frequently would come to the town, sometimes funeral or other, activities. Now, the house sits on almost an acre land, and there's not really a big house. So most of the land is for the garden, trees, and other security posts in the premises. Now, in front of the house, you will find an asphalted road, and then also at the back of the house, you find an asphalted road. Now, the matter in question, as referenced in the Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report to the Chief of Staff, says that the person who was doing the excavation for gold did so on a field quite close to the residence of President Akufo-Addo, and in the process destroyed part of the president's garden. Now, if, from what we saw, if the reference is to a field close to the president's garden, then obviously that would be the asphalted road. So there's a wall dividing the asphalted road and the president's residence. Right after the wall, you find the garden. That is how it looked like. And so for the security agencies, they say that since 2017, there's been changes. Some will come, some will go. But you always find police and military personnel and some immigration personnel, ensuring that there's 24-hour protection for the property. And they are yet to come across anything of a sort. I spoke to the head of the housekeeping staff, Christopher, and also a cousin to the president who's lived in the house for over 30 years. And they say that the matter cannot be true.
Looking at the gate, why is the excavator going to pass to the house? So I think I can lead you to go around the whole place to see for yourself as to such this thing that he's complaining of has indeed taken place.
For how long have you worked in this house?
Oh, I've been here for almost about, 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
So between 2020 and 2021, you are telling us that there was no point that illegal mining activities or illegal mining activity took place in this compound?
Not at all. Not at all. The security are here 24/7. So how can the security be here and then we allow people to come in that we are coming to do galamsey? What is the purpose of the security being in the house?
What about beyond the walls of the president?
Yes, I think we can fly even if a drone or any other to go around to see whatever that is around the surrounding. Nothing of that nature. There is a house that is just, at the back of the yard. And I think that place doesn't belong to the president.
Elton, so why is the Chebe Hene demanding the presence of the former environment minister?
So according to them, for now, they are not sure exactly the source Professor Frimpong-Boateng referenced in his report to staff, because according to them, the only property they know or they can assign to President Akufo-Addo is the one they took us to, and this is the one we visited today. They say that they may not know if the president has another property within the Chebe town, but as far as they are concerned, they are only aware of this property we visited today. And this property, according to them, was built by the president's old late father. The president inherited the property, renovated it, And then he's been coming to, anytime he's in town, that's where he spent the weekend or for funeral or anything of the sort. And so Professor Frimpong Boateng should come to Chebi and then point them to where the illegal mining activity took place so that they can be abreast with the matters in question.
What Professor Frimpong says is wrong. It's totally wrong. There's nothing like that.
But how does the traditional authority feel about it?
We are very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, especially the Chebi and then the tradition. We are very uncomfortable. It's unprecedented. It's very, very bad. That a man who has struggled for almost 45 years to build his name, and now, as he's about to leave the presidency, they are trying to destroy him. It's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. And very, very bad. And it goes against the throne. The man is decent and clean.
If you are exonerating the president, will you be making any demand from Professor Frimpong Boateng?
And then he should come here and show you where he saw it. That he come and show you where he was doing that galamsey. You should come here and prove to us and prove to the whole world. And prove to the whole world my nephew is out of that thing. You should come here. We will come here and you come and see the whole thing. We need Professor Frimpong himself to come and direct you people, all the journalists, that this is the place Akufo-Addo was doing galamsey. Then he proved to us. Then he crossed our statement that all we are saying is wrong.
But Elton, does he deny that illegal mining, galamsey, happens in Chebi?
Well, he went to, in fact, that was a question I put to him, that the government has waged a war against illegal mining, and so what has been the reaction of the chiefs in dealing with the matter within their own backyard? And he told me that, I mean, in the Eastern region, you cannot rule the Eastern region out when it comes to illegal mining. And even within the enclave, they have witnessed cases where people have undertaken such an exercise on the outskirts of Chebi. But because of the Otihene's own war against the menace, those people have been put out of business. So for now, he was emphatic that Chebi can be said to be free from the activities of illegal mining.
He has been fighting for it. Even me myself, we have been going around here and chase them. When we go to my palace, I will show you some of the machines we have seen. I'll show it to you. We have been doing about all these things. We are not tolerating those things. But it's only people are trying to distort facts. When we go to my house, there's a lot of machines they are using to do all this thing. Watching has been hammer everything, every day like that. They should not entertain that kind of thing. So nobody is doing this kind of thing. But when you say people don't believe you, but because of Ghana police have become cheap, everybody is trying to destroy somebody.
Now, Elton, if you read Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, when he was informed that this individual was excavating for gold in a field close to the house of the president in Chebi, he says he quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to, one, reclaim the land and vegetate it. And this happened years ago. So 2 years or 3 years on, definitely, if he vegetated it, the evidence of that excavation possibly wouldn't be there. Did you put this to the chiefs and the people of the traditional area and those in the president's house who were insisting that this didn't happen?
Absolutely. In fact, if you go to the document, this may have taken place in 2020. The report was made to the chief of staff in 2021. Their response to this is that they have no recollection of any earth-moving machine coming to the residence of President Akufo-Addo. Indeed, according to them, the house isn't so big for such an activity to take place. Secondly, according to them, if the illegal mining activities indeed took place, that would have meant a total destruction of the asphalted road that was constructed in 2020, and then also may have led to the destruction of the president's wall. And then that would also have meant that they would have had access to the garden. But according to them, they have no recollection ever of bulldozer or excavator coming to reclaim and restore the vegetation cover on the president's garden. For the security agencies themselves, it's that they undertake security monitoring on a 24-hour basis, and there's no way somebody as the president of the republic residence which is man 24/7, will allow such a thing to take place.
Elton, thank you very much. So the question still remains, and let's get the perspective of an expert. My colleague Blaise Soga has been speaking to one, Dr. Solomon Owusu, is a mining expert in Colorado, USA, about this controversy on the back of what the cabinet of the Ochihine in Chibi have done today. So that report that the Professor Mpombwating put out, as I've just read, put out, that when they discovered that he was told of this excavation that destroyed part of the president's own garden there, he dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. So if this happened years ago, and the timing issues are important, is it possible that is a reason why you would go there now and not find anything? Can you still find traces if this indeed happened back then? Let's speak to Blaise. Blaise, you've been digging into this a bit more on your show on Pulse, and you've been speaking to an expert in this area. What did you learn?
Well, that's right, Evans. Dr. Solomon also has a wide experience in matters relating to the mining sector. His practice here in Ghana before his current portfolio in the United States of America. He tells us that it is possible that at least giving a space of a year when reclamation is done on a particular piece of land, you would find absolutely no evidence that indeed mining activities have taken place in the area. It's the reason for which he believes that if truly we're to ascertain the veracity of what it is that the keepers of President Akufo-Addo's private residence are telling us, then we need the presence of Professor Frimpong Boateng himself, because if he's able to pinpoint the particular area he's talking about, then it will give room to experts to verify on the grounds as to whether or not reclamation was done. In his view, once you have a period after which mining has done, where experts do reclamation and vegetation cover is grown, there is simply no way by which you could tell what's happening unless there's an extensive work done on the particular spot. And that's why he believes that Professor Frimpong Boateng would have to give the coordinates of where the mining activity took place. And right after that, experts can then be in a position to tell whether or not reclamation was done.
In other words, the naked eye may not be the way to conclusively say this. If you want to put this beyond doubt, a more forensic analysis had to be done. Hello, Blaise.
Hello, Evan.
Yeah, so my point is, just for clarity, to put this beyond doubt, his suggestion is that a more forensic work needs to be done beyond what the naked eye can see.
Precisely his point, because he says there is technology and sufficient convention to prove that when reclamation is done on a particular piece of land, after a year, you would find absolutely, on the face value of it, no evidence that any form of illegal mining activity has taken place. That's why, in his view, when the coordinates are given, once an individual who has the expertise, who has the knowledge, goes into the field, particular point where Professor Frimpong Boateng may have been talking about, then there is another method by which the experts can deploy to verify if illegal or perhaps mining activities may have taken place in the area for them to be able to tell. And that's why he's challenging the presidency to allow Professor Frimpong Boateng to be a part of the process, to show the people of Ghana exactly where he was referring to. If he pinpoints the place and that's subjected to the forensic audit you're talking about, then it will prove as to whether or not indeed the activities took place or the professor may have been misrepresenting the facts in his view.
Blaise, thank you very much. And it's on the back of that we've heard tonight from the Chebihine, who is demanding the presence of Professor Frimpong Boateng himself there in Chebi to show them where exactly this excavation happened for gold, so they can verify his claims. And that's a demand they've put forth. It remains to be seen whether Professor Frimpong Boateng will avail himself to show exactly where this happened so the verification could be done. But in the meantime, we reached out to him, Professor Frimpong Boateng, and he sent us a note. He says, I do not want to argue with anyone. I stand by my statement. And that's what he's saying as of tonight. If you're still live here on Top Story, Ace on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is a story constantly moving pretty fluid. And as we began the show telling you, the local chapter of Transparency International, that's the Ghana Integrity Initiative, has tonight issued a statement on this development. They are demanding a bipartisan probe into this particular matter. They want this dealt with expeditiously because of the serious allegations that have been made. An independent bipartisan commission of inquiry to be set up. And I want to bring in Mariada, who joins us on the phone right now, and she's a programs manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Hello, Mary. Thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Why is a bipartisan independent commission of inquiry necessary?
Evans, it is very necessary because if you just did the interview of the verification visit to Chebi, that alone validates our call that it is critical that when people are cited, the presidency itself and staff around him and also his own appointees are cited by somebody who we have known to be credible, who the president himself entrusted power in to manage the affairs of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, then there is no doubt that when allegations are made by such a person, the obvious conclusion by the majority of the citizens would be that he was within the space and he appreciates the issues better than I, who didn't have any inkling as to what was happening. So it is within that scope that we say that the president, in his own interest and also in the interest of people who have been cited, then constitutes an independent committee, bipartisan, bringing on board people who understand the issues, who have an appreciation of the cost Galamsey is having on this nation, to then determine and go into the issues to investigate. Number one, we say it should be done so because if you have looked at the various surveys over time, the trust of the citizens in the governance processes of this country have gone down beyond our expectations. Everyone, if you look at CDD's Afrobarometer, it said as much that citizens prefer to go to religious leaders than to believe in the architecture of the state. If you look at the Global Corruption Barometer of the Transparency International, it talks about 1 in 4 citizens trusting any state institution to do anything for them. So this is an opportunity for all of us as a people to begin that rejuvenation process, to begin the process of encouraging citizens to believe in what we do, particularly when the president put his presidency on the line for this.
And specifically on that subject of Galamsey and the president's fight, you say in the statement that the president's actions have not kept pace with his rhetoric. Explain.
Exactly. So anybody who says I'm putting my job on the line, after 3 years or thereabout, we still have our river bodies being, if you see the water, it's like somebody mentioned, it's like chocolate drink. Unfortunately, in most of the areas we are talking about, even though Galamsey is not supposed to be going on, we see it each and every day if you are traversing this country. And so, the mantra as to whether he's putting his presidency on the line to fight this canker, unfortunately has not reflected on what is happening in our communities. We remember at a point, the report mentions that when the Chinese were deported, it served the purpose. But then after we decided that they would be tried here, unfortunately, you realize that they have taken over. And in most of the places where Galamsey is happening, it is going on unabated, unfortunately. So we believe that the president has not lived by that. And this is a good opportunity for him to reverse. And I heard one of the persons who were in charge of this process, the secretary, saying that when he said he was putting his presidency on the line, it was just a figure of speech. Unfortunately, we took it hook, line, and sinker, and we would want to see him reflect those statements in action. And action is only what would help us.
And you say you'll be formally petitioning Shraj and the OSP?
Exactly. We want to go beyond the point of asking the president to do this. We also want the state institutions who have been given the power to investigate, to prosecute, the opportunity to also look into these issues. We know that somebody has already gone to Shraj, but we believe that it is very critical that as civil society who have been working in this space and calling for accountability and transparency, we contribute to this discourse and ensure that the institutions of state take up this matter and investigate.
Mariada, thank you very much, Mariada, with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Well, today we've been hearing again from the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, who has been defending the president's record on illegal mining.
Will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching. And indeed, it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who is giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this.
You heard the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor. News Night in a minute.
You know what? Vodafone Business introduces 2 much business packages for businesses and SMEs. Yes, it be too much value. It be too much flexibility. It be too much everything. So on Vodafone, too much business. And the best part is you can now take your business up another level. Wow. Choose the voice, data, and SMS package that suits your business size and ambitions with Vodafone Too Much Business. That means more data for your business with the ability to roll over unused data. More SMS, more minutes for Vodafone to Vodafone calls and Vodafone to other networks, plus free calls amongst your employees, all in one mobile package. There is too much value you get on the best mobile plan in Ghana today. To sign up, SMS start to 050-777-9000 or email vodafonebusiness.gh@vodafone.com.
Vodafone, further together.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant, and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
Give me the drums. Give me the bass.
Singing our song, beating a drum.
Now, hit it!
Celebration.
GH Music's biggest night is here. The 24th Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, happening live Saturday 6th May at the Grand Arena. A night of glitz and glamour, show-stopping performances, plus all the drama that comes out with Who Wins What. Performing live, King Sack, Black Sharif, Jack, Piercia Esther, Last Mid, Dope Nation, Amare, and 10 other superstars live on stage. Limited tickets are out for 500 Ghana cedis on *713*33*24#. And also at Nalam Stores, Accra Mall, and Charterhouse. The 24th VGMAs is powered by Charterhouse and sponsored by TV3, KPMG, Yango, our media partners, and Vodafone.
Our music lives
in the spirit of our rhythm.
In the next 60 minutes here on News Night, court sentences to death by hanging a man found guilty for murdering former MPP Regional Chairman Adams Mahama. We tell you why state prosecutors say they've been left with no other choice but to potentially start a fresh trial for Gregory Afoko, who is brother to former MPP National Chairman, as a jury of his peers is unable to return a unanimous verdict of guilty over the death of Adams Mahama. Stay with us for details on this breaking story. Also tonight, presidency demands an immediate retraction and apology from Al Jazeera for what they describe as an unfair representation of President Akufo-Addo and his government in a controversial documentary.
So, for example, Ghana government that I was holding, I get the contract. I subcontract it to you, $100 million contract. Ghana government pays me $100 million. I give it to you, and you say it's $80 million.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. Like Cyril Ramaphosa here, I know him. I know his kids.
Zimbabwe is easy.
And then later in this package, a baseline study on preventing and containing violent extremism in 8 regions in the northern parts of Ghana reveals families are now willing to encourage close relations to join extremist groups. We have details of that NCCE report, plus hear what is being done to sensitize the public.
And in business, prepare to pay taxes on your winning bets, alcohol consumed, mineral water, and processed fruit juice as the 3 key tax measures takes off from next Monday.
And in sports, Grey Olympics increase their chance of survival with an emphatic win over Sante Kotoko at Sugakope in the Ghana Premier League. We'll bring you details and hear from head coach Bismarck Kobe Mensah.
I will tell you about the mega gathering of corporate Ghana and businesses as we come to the Lord in worship, thanksgiving, and supplication.
Once your hands have found something doing and you're grateful to God for, we are asking you to come. Come and pray, come and worship God, and let's together ask Him to continue to bless us.
And to that breaking news story in the last few minutes tonight, prosecutors are left with no other choice but to consider starting a fresh trial for Gregory Afoko. A 7-member jury a short while ago returned a 4-3 not guilty verdict for charges of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Afoko, who is the brother of former MPP National Chairman Paul Afoko, was for the past 8 years been standing trial over the murder of the former MPP Regional Chairman Adams Mahama. Now the jury, however, found his co-accused person, Asake Alangwi, guilty of the offense of conspiracy to commit murder. He has been sentenced to death and he will die by hanging. But his lawyers are already questioning the verdict. Legal affairs correspondent Joseph Akabile joins us with details on this breaking news story. And Joseph, remind us of what exactly this case was about and how it got to this particular point.
And so, Evans, sometime in 2015, you recall that there was some internal issues within the governing New Patriotic Party, then a party in opposition, and particularly has to do with the leadership issues starting from the national level and eventually at even the regional level. And we saw that play out in the Upper East region, where the Upper East regional chairman, Adams Mahama, who had returned home, had acid poured on him, resulting in his death. And we know that there were issues that were raised about his allegiance vis-a-vis the then candidates of the New Patriotic Party and where he stood on that particular matter. The matter ended up in court with Gregory Afoko, who is the brother of Paul Afoko, the then national chairman of the NPP, who was eventually suspended by the party, being charged with the offense of murder and conspiracy to murder. After about 4 years of standing trial, you recall the other accused person, Saki Alandi, who had been on the run, was apprehended. And so the government, through the Attorney General, opted to truncate the prosecution and have the trial commence all over again for the two accused persons. And so that trial commenced. A total of 16 witnesses were called to testify in support of the case, including witnesses such as the wife of the late Adams Mahama, who had claimed that Adams Mahama told her that it was Gregory Afoko who had poured the acid on him. A pathologist also testified who had indicated that Adams Mahama died of extensive acid burns, which he told the court amounted to an unnatural cause of death. And so after the trial, the accused persons had the opportunity to tell their side of the story. Both of them denied the allegation. They did indicate to the court that they were actually together at a beer bar on the night that the incident is said to have taken place, and that they left and went home afterwards, and that they were not in any way close to the residence of Mr. Adams Mahama and were not guilty for the said offense that has been filed against them.
Let's go into the verdict that was just delivered a short while ago. Let's talk about Gregory Afoko's verdict. What happened there? Because I understand that the jury failed to reach a decision.
And so in terms of the outcome for a capital offense like murder, the level of requirements for a verdict of guilty to be entered will be that it should be unanimous. So it should be a 7-0 decision. For the charge of conspiracy to murder leveled against Gregory Afoko, 4 of the jurors came to the conclusion that he was not guilty of the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, while 3 said he was guilty of the charge of conspiracy to commit murder. In terms of the charge of murder, again, 4 said he was not guilty of the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, as the charge of murder itself. Then 3 others said he was guilty of the charge of murder. And so this means that in terms of the 2 charges against Gregory Afoko, they couldn't reach a unanimous verdict, which meant that there would have to be a retrial. And so the court declared a mistrial, effectively a hung jury, meaning that there has to be a retrial for Gregory Afoko.
And the other accused person, his fate has been sealed, has it not?
The interesting thing about the other accused person is that for the charge of murder, the jurors interestingly found him 4-3 not guilty. So 4 of them said he's not guilty of the charge of murder, but 3 said he is guilty of the charge of murder. Then came the issue of conspiracy to commit murder, which they interestingly, unanimously, 7-0, found him guilty of the charge of conspiracy to commit murder. And so the court, as was urged on it by the representative of the Attorney General, was that for Section 23 of the Act 29, Criminal and Other Offences Act, once the person is found guilty of the conspiracy, is punished as though he has committed a substantive offense. And so the court was left with no choice but to impose that particular sentence of death.
And that raises a very interesting question, a conspiracy to commit murder. So who was he conspiring with? I guess is the question that comes up quite strongly. I understand the lawyers are not happy.
Completely, and that's the exact point that they made in open court. In fact, they expressed the surprise that in the first place, the substantive offense of murder, which is the more serious offense, they all found him not guilty in terms of 4-3. Then it came to the offense of conspiracy to commit murder, in which case they came to the conclusion that yes, he has committed offense of conspiracy. But then they point to the verdict that was returned in the case of Gregory Afoko, who is alleged to have committed offense to, and say that he could not reach a unanimous verdict of conspiracy to commit murder for him. So how does he not conspire with someone? I mean, they believe that at least 2 people must agree to act together to commit the crime for the conspiracy charge to be maintained. And so they say that as far as they are concerned, And this verdict is not the last of it that they have heard, and it cannot be allowed to stand because, in simple terms, as far as they are concerned, it does not make sense to them.
But in the case of Gregory, it appears this is not over. There may be a fresh trial.
Yes, in fact, the court only discharged the jury in this particular matter and indicated that for the other accused person, that is Gregory Afoko, there's to be a retrial. But I mean, that will again come out down to exercise of prosecutorial powers and whether that decision will be taken. For now, we've not gotten any indications from the Attorney General's office as to what the next line of action will be, except that we understand that the AG's office will be briefed by the Chief State Attorney that was present in court on this particular matter for a decision to be taken. But for now, the directive of the court is that Asaki Alangde is to face the charge of the punishment of death for committing the offense of conspiracy to murder Adams Mahama, the former Upper East Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, while for the case of Gregory Afoko, it's a hung jury and there has to be a retrial.
Joseph, thank you very much. And if you're just joining us, that breaking news story today, in the last few minutes, the court has sentenced to death by hanging a man found guilty for murdering former MPP regional chairman Adams Mahama in the case of Gregory Afoko, who is a brother to the former national chairman of the MPP, Paul Afoko. In his case, there's a lot still yet to be looked at by prosecutors, and the state prosecutors have been saying that they've been left with no other choice but to potentially start a fresh trial in his case, as a jury of his peers been unable to return a unanimous verdict of guilty over the death of the MPP regional chairman. I want to hear from you. That was one of the most controversial stories just around 2016, 2015, thereabout, coming to a closure now, but still, jury still out on the subject of the brother of the national chairman of the MPP, Paul Afoko. So listen to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. We can now speak to lawyer for Adams Mahama, who's just joining us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Mahama, if you can hear me, this has been a trial that has been going on for quite a while. I wonder what your reaction is to the decision that we've heard today from the court and the jury. A lot still, from what we are hearing, still remains to be ironed out. But first, give me your initial reaction, Anthony Nabo. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Evan.
Great to have you. I wonder if you could give me your quick reaction to the decision of the court today.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the decision is the decision of the jurors, not the court. The judge's role today was to sum up the evidence of the 16 witnesses called by the prosecution, and of course the evidence of the first accused gave evidence himself and called one witness, and the second accused, he was the only one, he gave evidence for himself. So in reality, the judge's duty today was to look at the evidence and the law and explain it to the jurors. And I was there from 10:15 a.m. It took her almost about 4 hours to sum up and explain all the nitty-gritties to the jurors. And so the jurors retired and came back with a verdict, and I'm sure you know the verdict, which is on count one. Which is
happy with the outcome? We had the details already. Happy with the outcome?
Yeah, so the outcome for me, we are disappointed as a family. We are disappointed with the outcome because from the evidence that the prosecution marshaled, we are of the view that compelling evidence was led by the prosecution, and so we are not happy about the outcome, and I'm sure, but whatever it is, it wasn't also a very bad case because you have a mistrial, 4-3, and having one person convicted and sentenced to death, I think that is fine. I mean, we only wait and see what the prosecution will do by way of their option. They will exercise the option as to whether there will be a retrial or whatever the decision they will take.
Let me ask you the immediate question that comes to mind, considering that the other accused person had been convicted of conspiracy. So the obvious question is, he conspired with who?
That is a big question. I'm sure this question is for jurors to answer, because that makes their verdict a bit disconcerting. I must say, that made their verdict a bit disconcerting. So we'll leave it like that, because this is a case where the judge took her time, as I said, 4 hours, and repeatedly explained to them the position of the law, and also in the course of summing up, she was able to point out how the accused persons lied in all the statements that they gave to the police and their evidence in court. She was able to show all this. So, but that is the decision of the jurors. We can take it that that's their understanding of the tax before them. And so you are asking this question about how one person can be convicted of conspiracy and the other person. This is a question that will live for a long time to come.
Thank you very much, Anthony Namoda, and he is a lawyer for the family of Adam Mahama, who was killed back then. Now, the jury has returned a verdict in one case. One of the other individuals accused has been convicted now of conspiracy to commit murder. Gregory Afoko, that has been declared a mistrial. The state will have to decide whether they want to proceed and ask for a fresh trial. You're listening to News Night on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, tonight, President Akufo-Addo is demanding a retraction and an apology from Al Jazeera for its portrayal of Ghana and himself in your latest documentary, Gold Mafia. The 4-part investigation by Al Jazeera's investigative unit revealed the series of gold smuggling gangs in Africa who help criminals launder hundreds of millions of dollars, getting rich themselves while plundering their nations. In the part of that documentary, one Alistair Matthias claimed he smuggled up to $40 million worth of gold through Ghana every month, and also claimed to know President Akufo-Addo, who he also claimed acted as his lawyer once. Now, we'll hear from the presidency shortly, but first, this is what Alistair Matthias said in that documentary.
So, for example, Ghana government, Matthias Holding, I get the contract. I subcontract to you, $100 million contract. Ghana government pays me $100 million. I give it to you, and you say it's $80 million.
The contract is inflated $20 million above its real cost. Matthias banks the $15 million for the corrupt politicians until they need it.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. Like Cyril Ramaphosa here, I know him, I know his kids.
Zimbabwe is easy.
So that's a part of that documentary that relates to Ghana and President Akufo-Addo, but in a strongly worded letter to the international broadcaster Al Jazeera based in Doha, Qatar, the presidency described the documentary as unprofessional and defamatory. Could you brace, why is the president's position this strong?
Now, Secretary to the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and that's Nana Asante Bedier, to write that, quote, I am instructed by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to demand formally that Al Jazeera Media Network, Al Jazeera, retract immediately and apologize for airing an inaccurate and unfair documentary that contained spurious and unsubstantiated allegations against the President and the government of Ghana. The documentary in question made baseless claims that the President acted as a lawyer for one Mr. Alistair Matthias and implied that the president personally benefited unlawfully from an alleged $100 million state infrastructure contract purportedly awarded to Mr. Matthias. Now, in his letter dated 11th April 2023, responding to Al Jazeera's letter of 2nd April 2023, which was received on 6th April 2023, containing these vague and defamatory allegations, the legal counsel to the president, Mr. Ko Abaka Isuman, acting on in the instructions of the president, informed Al Jazeera that the president had not been in private practice since the year 2000 and that the president had no recollection of acting as a lawyer either personally or through his law firm, Messrs. Akufo-Addo, Prempeh & Co. for a Mr. Alistair Matthias or his company, Gold Rest Resources. In those circumstances, further and better particulars were demanded from Al Jazeera to respond adequately to the allegations made. But in Al Jazeera's letter, Al Jazeera thus
was requested to provide information on the period for which the president allegedly provided legal representation to Mr. Alistair Matthias or his company, Goldrest Resources. Furthermore, Al Jazeera was requested to provide details of the $100 million tender for state infrastructure allegedly given to Mr. Matthias, which he outsourced and kept a percentage in offshore account, as stated in the letter, as well as information on how the president personally benefited unlawfully from the alleged $100 million tender for state infrastructure.
Did the president give them a deadline to respond to this, retract and apologize?
Now, I mean, if you look at what the presidency stated in that particular letter, I want to get to exactly what they say, but the response, and I'm quoting directly from what they say. The letter from the presidency continues that, quote, Al Jazeera refused or failed to provide these details as requested and went ahead with a broadcast of the documentary. Now, at the end of the documentary, a test was shown contradicting the content of the documentary. Additionally, the subject of the documentary, Mr. Alistair Matthias, denied what he said in the documentary to Al Jazeera's investigative journalist. In light of these blatant denials by Mr. Alistair Matthias and the response from Mr. Isuman, those parts of the documentary ought not to have been included because those statements were not true. Accordingly, those parts of the documentary are malicious, defamatory, and a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the president and government of Ghana. It is therefore demanded that Al Jazeera withdraws the documentary immediately, retract and apologizes to the president and the government of Ghana for airing such an unprofessional and defamatory documentary. It is imperative that you act forthwith on this request within 7 days from the date of receipt of this letter. Please confirm receipt of this letter and your intention to take the necessary action as requested.
Pretty strong there. We haven't yet heard from Al Jazeera just yet. We are checking ourselves. When we do, we'll bring that to you. You're still here on Nukes 90s on Joy 99.7 FM 05511119997. Let's stay with our story we've been doing in the last few weeks about the school feeding crisis. People in some big schools have lamented the poor nature of food served under the school feeding program. The students raised the concerns during a Joy News check in some schools in Accra over the declaration of a nationwide strike by the school feeding program. Now, caterers under the school feeding program have declared an indefinite nationwide strike, demanding government pay them their arrears, as well as increase the school feeding grant from, guess what, 97 pesos to at least 3 cedis, 50 pesos. But Joy News checks in some of the schools reveal that most caterers have reported to work on day one of the strike. We'll be checking on the situation in other regions across the country, but we can hear from some of the people who have been interacting with Joy News here in Accra.
You have heard that they are supposed to be on strike.
Yes.
But are they on strike? Why?
Please, because the food that the caterers are cooking for us is not good at all. They don't bring for us yam and kotobe stew. No meat, no anything, no egg. And the bonku too, sometimes the soup is water. They are not cooking it well. The beans and the rest of the food too are not good at all. They should cook for us yam and kotobe stew.
Right. So if the caterers, those who cook for you, should go on strike, how will it affect your coming to school or your learning?
Please, it will affect me.
When you came today, did you eat?
Yes.
Did you hear that those who cook for you are not supposed to be in school?
No.
You haven't heard anything like that?
Yes.
So what food were you given and were you okay?
The beans, they like bringing beans. And the beans too is like water. There's no oil on top. There's no plantain. And the rice too, the stew is too like water. There's no some kinds of things in the stew. So I like it to be comfortable so that I can eat it. And I don't eat it always because of how they cook it.
I want to take you to Kumasi now, where caterers under the school feeding program who have not reported to work say they are not perturbed by the Secretariat's directive for them to cancel the strike and return to work.
I know that teachers go on strike and they give them a listening ear. Why are they refusing to give these poor women a listening ear? I believe elections are coming and they will still need these poor women to go down there and do those donkey work. And I'm afraid.
So for the 4 weeks that you've withdrawn your services, you've not been invited to any quarters to listen to what you have?
Nobody. Only threatening. If you don't cook, we'll take the school. If you don't cook, we'll deduct it. And these are kind of words that we hear from them. But what pains me most is that those who are doing that, they are old people. They've enjoyed their life. And now they want to provoke the younger one and then go away. And I don't think they love even MPP. If they want MPP to be in power again, they will never treat these poor women this way. Because they are going to also treat them bad coming this election. They say it. And that is why some of us are voicing out for them to hear.
Let's go to the Upper West region. Rafiq Salam joins us live. Now, Rafiq, what's the situation where you are?
The situation in the Upper West region is not like in the other areas because the caterers went to work today. They cook, and actually, majority of them told me that they haven't heard about that announcement of the strike, and they are saying that they had already bought their their ingredients for today's cooking when they had, and so probably tomorrow they won't be at the schools.
So the expectation is that in the next few days we may see the school feeding caterers there also joining their colleagues.
That's what they are saying, because they said they heard the announcement leak. Some actually told me that it was some people who drew their attention that there was an announcement on radio that they were not supposed to cook for the kids. But at that time, they had already started. And so they are planning to start the strike tomorrow.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague there in the Upper West region, a former appointee of government and a former minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Otiko Fisa-Jaba, has called out government for its failure to clear arrears owed the caterers. She says government need to increase the feeding allocation to help sustain the program.
It's important that the government should pay the caterers all the amounts that are due them. The contract is not a charitable one. It is not a non-profit exercise. It is for them to earn an income, because most of them, 80% of the caterers are women. They don't work. Some of them are women organizers, but most of them are not women organizers. They are widows. They are single parents. They are looking for how to be breadwinners and take care of the needs of their family. They also engage people who clean, who serve the food, who cut up the onions and other things. So if they are not being paid, they cannot pay those workers. They buy fuel, electricity, water. The parents benefit because they don't now have to find money for the child. But if you don't do that, that means parents now have to look for money to feed the children. And children who don't get that will not go to school. So it will increase absenteeism. And rather, the purpose of increasing enrollment will backfire.
Otiko Fisa-Jaba there used to be the Minister for Gender and Children and Social Protection. So listening to News Night is on Joy 99.7 FM. And this also is your election headquarters. And George is going to join me shortly. Right after that, on election headquarters, who wins the Adenton seat as former gender minister Nana Oye Bampoado, and one other, and many more indeed, battling it out with the incumbent MP for the Adenton constituency there in that upcoming NDC primaries. We're going to bring you a special report on that and more here on your election headquarters.
We are poised to make sure we put everybody on a level playing ground so that, whoever wins, there wouldn't be any issue.
George Afesia with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, prepare to pay taxes on your winning bets, alcohol consumed, cigarettes, mineral water, and processed fruit juice are the three key tax measures takes off from next Monday. And MTN's profit for the first quarter of this year that has hit or reaches over 1 billion Ghana cedis. We'll be getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Alliance Live and Ghana Pay.
Wonderful. When everything worth doing is scheduled, hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That happy moment listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302-764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website, www.kingdomgh.com.
Welcome to April, the month of jazz. Alliance Française Accra invites you to the Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival, a week-long celebration of jazz in all its forms. Check out exciting and contemporary art in the Jazz and Art exhibition, running from the 24th to the 29th of April. Learn the art of music making with a master of the game, Victor Day Jr. on the 27th of April, and enjoy 2 days of thrilling jazz concerts on the 28th and the 29th of April. With special performances by Pamela Bajigo, the Victor Day Jr. Quartet, Charlie and Kwame Yeboah. Tickets are a cool 50 Ghana cedis per day, 30 Ghana cedis for students. Follow us at AF_Accra on all socials for updates and workshop registration. The Société Générale Ghana Jazz Festival is powered by Alliance Française Accra and sponsored by Société Générale Ghana, Canal Plus, CFAO Ghana, City TV, KWV Wines, Wiggle Ghana Limited, Ibis Styles Hotel Accra, MX24 TV, the French Embassy in Ghana, YFM, Air France, Volta Cars Rental, Flexico Media Display, Hibiscus Mediterranean Cuisine, Mama Cuisine, and Asasi Radio.
Do you know Flamingo Paint has superior properties than any other paint brand on the market? Listen, when you take 1 bucket of Flamingo paint, it's equal to several buckets of any paint brand on the market. So, Flamingo has superior hiding properties, superior coverage, it means it covers, and superior durability. Flamingo paint, superior hiding. Flamingo paint, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Let's now settle for the details. You should be prepared to pay more on the alcohol consumed, cigarettes, and processed fruit juice, as well as your winning bets. Now, this because the 3 revised tax measures are set to take off from next Monday. There is more in this Business Desk report.
The 3 revised taxes that has been passed by Parliament, as well as the President giving his assent are the Excise Amendment Act 2023, Income Tax Amendment Act of 2023, and the controversial Growth and Sustainability Levy. The Ghana Revenue Authority in a circular issued today noted that it has set May 1, 2023 as the deadline for implementing these taxes because it believes that businesses have had ample time to configure their systems since the law was passed by Parliament. Well, when it comes to the Excise Amendment Act, that will result to the price of some processed fruit juice, energy drink, imported beer is expected to be going up as this tax will seek to place fresh levies on these products. Alcoholic beverage will not be spared as the taxes paid on these products have also been increased. Mineral water is also expected to go up as this review is also expected to affect some of these products on the market. Cigarettes and electronic cigarettes will also not be spared. The Ghana Union of Traders Association has indicated that it will not hesitate to pass on the cost of these products as it might be difficult to absorb it going forward. When it comes to the income end, any amount below 500 Ghana cedis should be tax-free. However, an extra 100 Ghana cedis will attract a tax rate of 5%. Additional 100 Ghana cedis will attract a rate of 10%. Based on the schedule seen by Joy Business, the more one earns, the more one should be paying in terms of the taxes to the state. Well, for banks, non-bank financial institutions, telecom companies, and firms working in the oil sector will pay 5% of their profit before tax to the state. Mining firms, oil and gas companies are expected to pay 1% of gross production, while all other firms will pay 2.5% of their profit before tax to the Ghana Revenue Authority. This is because the Growth and Sustainability Levy is also going to be implemented from May 1, 2023.
And that was a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, the Association of Ghana Industries say they are disappointed by this move, but they have no option than to comply, as they also raise some concerns when it comes to the implementation of these taxes. Sechuma Kabwa is Chief Executive of the association.
We definitely are concerned because the additional tax burden on industries and businesses is really a difficult one. A lot of the industries are making losses. So when you have additional tax burden on them, then you are only worsening their situation and their plight. And that is indeed a big challenge. But as at the situation level, we will continue the engagement. We will first be monitoring the development. Normally, when there's a new policy of this nature, we know that it may not augur very well. Doubts about the revenue targets that government had in imposing these taxes, because if the businesses are making losses, then having a growth and sustainability levy, which is on profit before tax, can really be at a very tricky situation. We think that there must be further amendment in this whole tax regime going forward. We cannot work with this for long. But at this moment, we don't seem to have a choice than to go ahead. But as we are going ahead, we'll be monitoring the development and then we'll be engaging further to see how we can rectify things.
Sechuma Kabwa is Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries. But what is government's response to these concerns raised by businesses? Well, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has justified these levies, insisting it is needed to help turn around the economy.
Truly, when you begin to have 13% revenue to GDP ratio, and you should be at around 20%, that means a third of taxes that should be paid are not being paid. So we need to come to terms with that. But we need the revenue now to be able to move in that direction. I believe that digitalization will help. But there's too many taxes when we are underperforming at 13%. So we need to plug the holes. We need to be very clear that the economy is in trouble and that we have to haul it back. And it's not the first time that has occurred, and we will get through this. There will be some sacrifices and some difficult periods whilst we go through this journey, but we'll be successful.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Well, telecoms giant MTN ended the first quarter of this year with some significant growth in its profit before tax. It reached over 1 billion Ghana cedis. Now, this was captured in its financial release to the investing public today. Total revenue also hit 2.3 billion Ghana cedis. With the first 3 months of this year, our revenue from its mobile money business continued to recover from the implementation of e-levy last year as it went up by 25% to reach 604 million Ghana cedis. Now, this was underpinned by a growth in the cash-out revenue paid. Also, MTN paid 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in direct and indirect taxes to government, while subscribers increased by 1.4% to hit almost 28 million in the country. Now, Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Michael Ochibefi has cautioned producers of cement in the country to do more to ensure they uphold the quality and standard of their products. Now, this is because there are serious impacts on the integrity of structures in the country. The minister maintained that plans are underway to sanction producers that are not producing low-quality cements in the country. He was speaking at the launch of the Summer of Ghana new cement called Kentenaka in the country.
Most of the cement companies in Ghana are advertising something and giving different products. That's a worry to the national security of this country and also the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Companies are advertising numbers different from the quality of products they are putting into the market. And that is not the way to go. Effective next week, I have directed the Ghana Standards Authority to pick their whip. So they will pick their canes and they will start going around. We are going to crack the whip. I'm sure from next week, companies in the cement industry will see some signs that government is so much interested in the service they provide to the good people of this country and the product they deliver to Ghanaians.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Michael Ochibefi was speaking at the launch of the CIMAF Ghana new cement called Kentinka. To other stories, the University of Leeds and INHEP Ghana has launched a global entrepreneur program in the country to unearth and nurture young Ghanaian businesses to giant ones in the future. The launch forms part of the British Trade Commissioner's visit to Ghana. Tone Thomas, Executive Director of the programs at Leeds University Business School, said UK is committed to building business ecosystem in Ghana and the rest of Africa that will facilitate the construction of successful businesses.
It's important to mention that the UK government also has an extensive set of science, innovation and research partnerships with Ghana, estimated at over 120 HMG-funded interventions. Examples include the FCDO Research and Innovation Systems in Africa grants, over 500k awarded to support and improve the linkages between researchers and innovators through building knowledge management systems, enabling information sharing to advance Ghana's agenda on research to commercialisation, so right the way through that supply chain or the value chain.
And that is the Executive Director of Programs at Leeds Business School, that is Tone Thomas. And that's all for Business on News Night. And back to you, Evans.
And George, you're back from the spring meetings. Been a hectic last few weeks, I guess. We all want to hear, now the spring meetings are over, what next? This month just ending now, May just dawning. Any clarity on when this is going to turn into a deal with the IMF?
Well, I just won't forget about what government is saying and the engagement that we had an opportunity to have with the IMF officials. And from everyone that you engage, from the directors to the technical and the technocrats, you get the impression that Ghana's program is going to happen in the second quarter of this year. And for the IMF also saying that as soon as they get the financial assurance, they are going to move quickly to approve Ghana's program. We're even picking up information that if, for instance, the financial assurance is able to be secured even this week, and they look at the slots, and even Ghana might delay for us to get a board meeting on that, they are even prepared to remove another country and put Ghana there for us to get the program. And so what one is sure is that in the second quarter of this year, Ghana's program is likely, or Ghana is likely to get a program from the IMF, looking at what we are picking up from the IMF officials in Washington, D.C. in terms of their commitment to approve a program for Ghana events.
Well, let's see what happens in the coming days. George, thank you very much and welcome back. Well, incumbent MP for Adentan constituency in the Greater Accra region, Mohammed Ramadan Adamu, is facing a fierce contest from two other aspirants, including former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Nana Oyebampoado. In the upcoming NDC parliamentary primary slated for May 13th, the election headquarters is going to be all over it for you. According to the aspirants, they have engaged the delegates and are convinced of victory because of the positive feedback from the campaigns and the reactions they're getting from party supporters in that particular part of the Greater Accra region. But they are asking for a free and fair election. Samuel Mbura of the political desk has been to Adenta and filed this report.
Created in 2004, the Adenta constituency is predominantly a middle-class residential area with a mix of urban and rural settlements. The New Patriotic Party was the first to win the seat when it was created. It, however, in the 2008 elections, lost to the National Democratic Congress. In the subsequent 2012 and 2016 elections, the MPP regained the seat, but in the 2020 elections, lost to Mohammed Adamu Ramadan of the NDC. And as the NDC goes to polls in May to elect its parliamentary candidates for the 2024 general elections, all three aspirants are certain of winning the contest to lead the party. The incumbent MP for Adenta constituency, Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, has already declared himself a winner of the primaries and goes further to pledge his support for John Mohammed's candidature.
There are two other people contesting you, but for me, I want to speak on behalf of the people of Adenta. The 2,774 delegates have all said that we are giving you 100%. It goes without mention. It goes without mention that on the 13th of May, I would plead with you, let us all go. Let us take the ballot papers and let us observe. Let us keep our eyes at the top. Let us vote for number one, John Dramani Mahama. Let us vote for number one, John Dramani Mahama. Let us all listen to what the scripture says. The scripture tells us that I and my father are one.
But he's facing a stiff contest from former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Nana Oyebampo, and Linda Asibiawuni, an engineer by profession and a first-time contender who is already pulling some crowd behind her candidature. According to Nana Oyebampo, who is contesting the primaries for the second time after losing to the incumbent in the 2019 primaries, she has the integrity and vast experience to lead the NDC. Her major target is to create jobs, especially for the youth, if elected.
Nana Oye is here to serve the people of Adenta. Nana Oye is humble. Nana Oye is honest and has the integrity and has a vast experience in politics, in law, in public service, in parliamentary work by virtue of the advocacy work that I did. I'm here to serve the people of Adenta. I'm here to procure jobs, to help create jobs for the youth in Adenta. Jobs is the topmost priority for us in Adenta. And I am in the best position to support procurement of jobs for the people of Adenta.
On her part, Linda Asibiawuni believes responses from the delegates have been positive because her message resonates with the people.
I believe that the campaign has gone very, very well. The response from the delegates in the Adenta constituency has been very positive generally across board. Our message has been well received. I believe that what we are selling to the people is a campaign of action and not promises. So it's something that the delegates of Adenta have been well pleased in.
Meanwhile, Constituency Secretary of the NDC, Larry Akins, says all is set for the elections and they will ensure all the aspirants are given a level playing ground.
For preparation, yes, we are putting all things that, will be needed on that day. We are putting them in place. And so we are well ready, we are poised to make sure we can put this election, we'll put everybody on a fair grounds or a level playing ground, so that, I mean, whoever wins, I mean, there wouldn't be any issue.
Overall, the Adenta constituency has been a competitive and a swing seat between the MPP and the NDC, with both parties winning the seat at different times. It is therefore one of the hotspots to look out for in the upcoming NDC parliamentary elections. Reporting for Joy News, Samuel Mbura, Adenta.
And as you know, this is your lecture headquarters. We are all over the NDC parliamentary primaries for you, and we're bringing you all the details here. In the next few days, we'll be visiting other constituencies across the country, getting you what you need to know ahead of that all-important primary. And I'm expecting to hear from you here on Newsnight. In a short while, I'll be sharing with you a few of your messages that we've been receiving on our WhatsApp console. Now, construction work has resumed on the pothole-riddled access routes around the Nungwa interchange construction site following a Joy News report on the poor state of the roads there. The contractors working on the infrastructure had packed out of the site while waiting for the outcome of the government's debt restructuring program. However, information available now indicates the workers started on the access routes with the aim to complete it. Michael Ashale was there and now reports.
Huge tipper trucks offloading chippings on sections of the Nungwa intersection. We also counted many other heavy-duty machines, including excavators, bulldozers, and leveling machines. This is the first time in months the construction team is returning to site. Work on the interchange has stalled since February 2023. After Joy News reported it, in a matter of just a week, the construction has commenced. The interchange connects to Temahabo, Spintex, and parts of Teshi and La. Every day, hundreds of commuters use the road. Until February 2023, persons traveling the stretch were filled with hope and joy in anticipation of a great relief from the notorious traffic which has since time immemorial characterized the intersection at Nungwa Barrier. Despair has now replaced the joy. Abdul Rashid is clearly disappointed with the pace of work. For those using the stretch for the first time, it will certainly be their last.
In your experience, is it better?
No, for now it's not better.
Will you use this stretch again?
No, for now I will not. Until they are done with it.
Why won't you use it again?
No, it's very bad and too slow.
The contractors are back on site now, but there are bigger issues to deal with.
Since works stalled on this interchange for quite some time, well, rainwater has rather colonized the place and is threatening to stall the work that is being done here. Just as you can see, it's a pool of water that has taken over an entire section of the road. Well, it's only engineers that will have to find innovative ways to try and overcome this particular situation.
Sports now, and Musbah is joining me with details. Musbah, what do you have in the headlines?
Well, it's Kumasi Asante Kotoko who lost to Great Olympics. They suffered another season-denting defeat to Great Olympics earlier today at the Wafa Park in Sogakope in the Ghana Premier League. The Pokopan Warriors couldn't build on their 2-1 win over league leaders Ediana over the weekend and conceded 2 goals in the second half to lose 2 goals to 0. And of course, Great Olympics, 3 points mean that Great Olympics have moved out of the relegation zone, sitting 15th on the league log with 35 points, while Kumasi Asante Kotoko are still 5th despite the defeat with 42 points. Let's hear from Coach Kobe Mensah, who is very optimistic that Great Olympics will avoid relegation, and this win is on the right course.
I told you earlier that we couldn't have done anything better than this very win. Playing against Kotoko was a headache for me because they also want to win the league. But at the end of the day, we prepared very well for this game. I think they deserve the win because I think in the first half, we were very dominant in every department. We showed resilience, we showed determination, and that has won the game for us. I think it has given us more hope, especially after our disappointment in our last game. We came into this game with the mindset of winning than any other thing. So tactically, we stopped them from playing in the first half. We saw it.
Coach Kobe Mensah of Great Olympics there. Evans, that's all for sports.
And by the way, just before you go, yesterday's game has left a significant hole in Arsenal's chances. Although they are still on top of the league, by the way.
Yeah, man, it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. You're top of the league, but you're not top of the league. Kind of feeling. I mean, Manchester City have 2 games in hand. They win at 6 points. And that means they go top of the league with 4 points above Arsenal. And of course, it's devastating for Arsenal and even Arsenal fans alike. But, well, it just happens. And just a bit of updates in terms of you Women's Champions League. Barcelona are through to the finals after defeating Chelsea Women's over there. So that's it. But Chelsea, disappointing season for them. But Arsenal, they've done well. And they've qualified to the Champions League for the first time in 6 years.
Okay, good for them. Bad luck for Arsenal. Still live here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, a latest baseline study published by the National Commission for Civic Education on preventing and containing violent extremism has revealed that some Ghanaians are now willing to encourage their family members or close friends to join extremist groups in the 8 regions of the northern part of Ghana. Even though the number is relatively low, the NCC says it is a worrying situation which needs intensive and targeted education for the youth in particular to prevent them from being radicalized or influencing others to join extremist groups. We have more on this on myjoyonline.com and in our subsequent bulletins. You can catch it also on the Joy News channel. Now, after constant education on food safety among market women through Joy Clean Ghana campaign, Netherlands Food Partnership has donated 30 tables to market women in Agbogloshi to stop them from displaying foodstuff on the bare ground. Now, my colleague Prince Owusu-Ansah was with them and has come through with this report.
At the Agbogloshi market, traders display foodstuff on the bare floor of the road, exposing them to dust and flies. The market women arrange these foodstuff in such a way that they will attract the attention of potential customers using the road. Some of the market women, in doing so, paid little or no attention to food safety. But an environmental health specialist at the University of Ghana, Benjamin Ofori, has urged the market women to desist from such practices.
By engaging the traders to appreciate the fact that the sale of foodstuffs on the bare floor or on the ground is not good for healthy nutritional status. Even at the household level, I don't think you keep your foodstuffs on the floor, not forgetting about the possibility of contamination.
As a result of the constant education on food safety through the Joy Clean Ghana campaign, Netherlands Food Partnership has donated 30 tables to market women at Agbogloshi. Cecilia Jima Akule is the project backbone support.
Activities that we did, this has been going on for about 2 years, and we have 4 groups. So this is just one of the groups. We have the other group that is looking into the food environment and what goes into, like, let's say, the calories and the nutrients in the food.
Head of Accra Metropolitan Health and Sanitation Team, Florence Kuchi, also added that market women should continue to observe food safety.
Today, I'm so happy that due to that kind of advocacy, people have seen it and they have come forward. This shouldn't just be the end. It should be the beginning to good things that will happen. We want our Agbogloshi market to be one of the cleanest and healthiest markets in Africa.
Meanwhile, the president of Greater Accra Market Women Association, Mercy Na Afrowa, says the donated items will help ensure food safety in the market.
We have been educating the women on not to sell on the ground, that is on sacks and hooks on the ground. Because most of the things they are selling are vegetables, they are fruits, so they have to find an appropriate place to sell.
Displaying foodstuff on the floor can expose it to bacteria and other infections, making it unsafe for human consumption. A report by Prince Owusu-Ansah read to you.
Just before we go, the gathering of corporate Ghana and businesses as we come together before the Lord in worship, thanksgiving and supplication. It is a joy corporate worship. Programs Manager Joy Brands Adam Naite outlines what is in store for you tomorrow evening.
We are going before God tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Royal House Chapel, to worship Him, to praise Him for how good He has been to us, and also use the opportunity to make supplications unto Him. Pray for Him to be able to help sustain our businesses. And I mean, when you say corporate worship and you talk about businesses, people think that it's just for big corporate organizations. But no, once your hands have found something doing and you're grateful to God for, we are asking you to come. Come and pray, come and worship God, and let's together ask Him to continue to bless us. So it's happening tomorrow, 6 p.m., Royal House Chapel. That is where we'll be. MOG will be ministering, Celestine Donko will be ministering, the Royal House Chapel choir will be ministering, and all that. So we are asking all of you to come and join us tomorrow.
And the multimedia choir, are we ministering? Okay. Well, is it for free? Yes. Is it for free?
It is for free. Okay. You're not paying anything. So you just walk in tomorrow, and then we are all there to worship God.
That's it for Newsnight tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening.